Hello, folks. I'd like to welcome you all to the Monster Wars verse. Now I have a story to tell you all. It's about the origin of the golden fairy Lanae Pervy and more. So ready or not, here it comes. Now a blonde curly-haired lady is shown falling through a sky of pretty colors and shapes. She's a light-skinned black gal who's wearing a black long sweater and has a blue butterfly barrette in her hair. Then this woman hits a soft ground, so she isn't hurt at all. Now it appears that the beautiful place has gotten a new arrival, and her name is Lanae Pervy. She next stands and looks at the skies, which show beauty features. Lanae then walks through a colorful region that has blue and green pebble-colored streets, crystal statues that cost a pretty penny, and far more delights of awe-inspired sorts. Now Lanae says, "What is this place? It reminds me of the Wizard of Oz film." Then suddenly a variety of aliens come out to greet the golden-haired lady. Lanae notices that some are human just like her. Next, at least a few hundred beings land around Lanae and the other greeters, and these new strangers are wearing one-piece white suits with green capes, green boots, and green belts. Oh, one of these caped flyers is Nancy Thompson, a Freddy Krueger nemesis. Now a downward view from the sky shows Lanae amongst a huge crowd of friendly types. That crowd is then heard saying, "Welcome our friend, you are home. Welcome friend, this is your home." Then time skips ahead a bit, and now Lanae Pervy is shown standing in front of the fairy well of power while wearing a white one-piece uniform suit. Next, fairy energy comes out of that well and covers her entire body. Now suddenly, Lanae's hair and eyes show magical flames as Lanae is seen born as the mighty golden fairy. And that's how her new life began in the beautiful place years ago. This story begins with the golden fairy Lanae Pervy being greeted by hundreds of other fairy heroes in the beautiful place. Then fairies ask the golden fairy about fairy Nancy's whereabouts. So Lanae says, "Our Nancy has awoken." Then Lanae says, "Close your eyes." Then all of the fairies see a vision of Nancy waking up in the CIA Research Center for Supernatural and Paranormal Activity. Next, the Golden Fairy and other fairies are shown opening their eyes. Now, in the beautiful place, the Golden Fairy asks for progress reports concerning what has been happening in her brief absence. So a purple-skinned male fairy says, "Well, we've continued to take the fight to that dream villainess." Then a blue-skinned fairy female says, "Yeah, we've been kicking a lot of butt as usual." Many fairies are now heard agreeing. One almond-skinned fairy princess then says, "We will get Nancy back, won't we?" So Lanae replies, "I'm sure she'll return to us one day." Then suddenly Golden Fairy Lanae takes to flight, and then the rest of the fairies are seen flying off too. Now the Golden Fairy Lanae is shown flying through Ethium Prime, a capital city in the beautiful place. She now flies past a huge view screen coin which keeps changing its face. She next passes the Grand Art Institute that is comprised of gold reflective chrome. Then Lanae is shown landing at her pyramid-shaped beach home. The golden fairy enters through an opening at the pyramid's top after it opened for her. Lanae now sits on her bed and tries to contact Nancy. Lanae's eyes are seen glowing of golden fairy magic. Now a split screen shows the fairies Lanae and Nancy. Then Nancy is shown hearing Lanae's voice that says, "Nancy, I know you are awake, but are you okay?" Then Lanae is seen hearing Nancy say, "Yes, Fairy Queen, and apparently I'm alive and well, as I was the whole time." "Oh, did you know anything about that, Lanae?" Then the golden fairy says, "Nancy, you were happy in our beautiful place, so I didn't want to burden you with that news because I wasn't sure you'd ever wake up again. Anyway, are you able to come home?" Nancy then replies, "Well, I'll find that out as soon as I go to sleep again. So please don't give away my fairy job." Then Lanae smiles and says, "Your job will be waiting on you, minus the paid vacations." Now Lanae's plush beach home is shown from the outside. Its outer structure is made of reflective mirror granite that keeps changing colors. Then the golden fairy's bedroom floor is shown as Lanae's boots, cape, belt, and costume are seen dropping to the ground. Next, a very naked golden fairy walks to her shower area. Then she steps into it, and now 4 sprinklers spray out gray crystal water. This fairy's eyes are glowing bright because the warm crystals are soothing her entire body, but she does add more heat to her shower flow. Then suddenly Lanae's shower cuts off. At this point, even her hair is soaked and wet. Next, her shower door opens on its own, so she turns and sees a shirtless man with a black towel around his waist. Lanae then steps halfway out and says, "I'm almost done, Corey, so you better come in now." Lanae then yanks his towel off quickly, and then she pulls this guy into her showers. Now they both grab each other's private parts as the waters come back on, but on a low pour setting. Lanae and Corey then passionately kiss while she runs her fingers through his hair of dreadlocks. Next, their tongues meet, greet, and become each other's treat. The scene then goes outside to her private beach area, and now her lavender waters are shown glittering. Then the scene returns inside of that beach house, and it arrives near the shower's entrance. Water and moans are now heard very loudly. Then Lanae is shown bent against a shower side as her lover uses his mouth like a washcloth. He is on both knees with his face pressed to Lanae's buns. She then turns around and then leans the black mystery man on his back. He also thinks her wet blonde hair is very sexy. Now Lanae is seen pleasing him orally, and Corey can't help but make ecstasy sounds. Lanae then yells, "Not yet," and then she gets on top of Corey. Now they move on the wet floor as clear water gently comes down on both of these two lovers. Then Lanae and Corey explode at the same time, and Lanae says, I know you're a ghost, but was it still good for you too, Corey Garrard? Corey then looks into her eyes and replies, it was even better this time. Now the ghost figure Corey conjures a diamond engagement ring, and then he slides it on Lanae's finger. He then says, just think about saying yes, as her spirit lover disappears in front of her. Lanae then leaves the shower with her ring on and sees that Corey has left red roses a couple of feet away. So she picks them up and smiles. Shortly later, Fairy Lanae is shown in a white silk robe. She then glows her eyes and a giant viewer opens in front of her. Now this golden fairy thinks about the voodoo mystery lady, so images now appear which show Priestess Marilyn sitting in a chair as a bald black man is knelt with his head down. Then Lanae uses fairy magic to rewind this event and then sees Marilyn's resurrection methods play out, which includes Tupac Shakur's related items. Next, Lanae watches the rebirth process as well as an angel and demon arriving. The golden fairy then unbrightens her eyes and says she brought him back to life amongst the living. Well, people, stay tuned for the conclusion of this exciting story.